Patientez jusqu'à la fin. Merci. N'ayez pas peur et prenez votre envol vers la liberté et la lumière.
Bonjour. Vidoc salue les humains libérés des conditionnements qui vont au bout de leurs recherches. Vidoc espère que vous allez bien. Un philosophe a dit « Il y a ceux qui savent, ceux qui sont susceptibles de savoir en menant leur combat, et ceux représentant le reste. » Affirmation dérangeante que l'histoire de l'humanité démontre. Ce même philosophe précise « L'être humain ne bouge pas tant que rien ne l'y oblige », d'où l'incurable égoïsme est visé à court terme. À l'ère de l'information, l'ignorance est un choix. Allons jusqu'au bout de nos recherches et laissons moujons et moutruches à leur délire et enfermement. Avant d'entamer ce post-it, passons à l'introduction habituelle.
Ami, entends-tu le vol noir des corbeaux sur nos plaines? Ami, entends-tu les cris sourds du pays qu'on enchaîne?
Patientez jusqu'à la fin. Merci.
That Vladimir Putin essentially may be running out of bullets, that he might have a week and a half, 2 weeks max. He's losing warplanes, tanks, all the rest of it. He obviously went into this thinking he was going to bulldoze his way through Ukraine. He's obviously caused a lot of destruction. Don't want to minimize the fact there's over 2 million refugees. But this has not gone as well as Vladimir Putin expected.
I don't buy it for a second, Ed, I'll be honest with you. I really think that there's so much misinformation. We've never really seen anything like it. I mean, I've been covering wars now for 35 years, and I have never seen people with their nails done in the Ukrainian flag, right? I mean, we're being corralled into this box where we either have to hate Vladimir Putin and believe everything evil that's said about him and love Ukraine, and there's no in between. And that reminds me a lot of you're either, a white supremacist or you go with the Democrat narrative on everything under the sun. So Vladimir Putin knew exactly what he was doing when he went into Ukraine. The Russian military isn't perfect. They, for example, I've spoken to multiple defense specialists and intelligence specialists from a Defense Intelligence Agency who've studied the Russian military for years. They do have a difficulty mounting complex air operations because they do very little training hours in comparison to, for example, the United States air assets, right, our fighter jet pilots. But Russia is not struggling. What Russia has done from the very beginning has been very strategic. They didn't go straight to Kiev. They went to all those bioweapons laboratories that are scattered all over the country. Some of them they built. So they know where they are. They've known where they are since the Soviet Union, because under the Defense Threat Reduction Program, we went in after the fall of the Soviet Union and supposedly turned those facilities from bioweapons labs into public health labs. Although, these days it's hard to believe anything that our leaders tell us, because they've lied about COVID, they lied about Russia collusion, they lied about the Ukraine impeachment trial, and there's so much more going on in Ukraine that nobody is talking about. You see such dishonesty when it comes to the history of Ukraine. You see dishonesty when it comes to the Azov battalion, which is funded by the U.S. and NATO. I mean, you can find pictures of them online holding up the NATO flag and the swastika at the same time. Their own emblem contains the black sun of the occult, which was a Nazi SS emblem.
Alors nous allons regarder une petite photo des gentils, selon les médias, le régiment nazi Azov. Voilà, comme on peut voir ici, à droite nous avons la croix gammée, au centre le drapeau du régiment Azov et à gauche le drapeau de l'OTAN. Voilà, voilà.
Throughout the Ukrainian military, you can see that black sun of the occult on their body armor, even on the female soldiers who are paraded in front of the world as being, such an example of Ukraine's independence and spirit and nobility. Even they are wearing the black sun of the occult.
Donc elle parle de l'insigne que les SS portaient. Alors j'ai fait ma petite recherche sur Wikipédia et voilà ce que j'ai trouvé. SS Standardführer de 1939 à 1945, et vous pouvez voir clairement cet emblème qu'ils reprennent sur tout leur drapeau. Regardez ici, c'est encore les gentils que tous les médias et politiciens applaudissent partout dans tous les pays corrompus par l'État profond.
And, the White House wants you to believe, well, this doesn't matter. It's just a small number of troops. It's not true. The Azov battalion has been murdering its way through eastern Ukraine.
Yeah.
We don't want to admit this. This was why Crimea voted for independence. This is why Crimea wanted to be with Russia. Because we in the media, in the Western media and in the West, won't acknowledge the reality of what's gone on. Western Ukraine backed the Nazis. It was a headquarters for the Nazi SS. The CIA under Alan Dulles actually gave immunity from prosecution to the Nazis of Ukraine from the Nuremberg trials. So there's a long history of the United States and our intelligence agencies funding and arming Nazis in Ukraine. These are not like new neo-Nazi groups that sprung up. These are the actual Nazis from the Second World War, who, if you go back to the Nuremberg trials, said that they were planning for a 1,000-year reich.
Werner von Braun est devenu directeur du centre de vol spatial Marshall de la NASA. Et oui, Walter Hallstein est devenu premier président de la commission de la Communauté économique européenne en 1951, soit 6 ans après la fin de la Seconde Guerre mondiale. Adolf Oesinger est devenu président du comité militaire de l'OTAN. Kurt Waldheim est devenu secrétaire général des Nations Unies.
And so you have to really wonder as you look at this, when you know that the CIA sponsored the color revolution in Ukraine in 2013 and 14, that they selected Ukraine's leaders, go to Victoria Nuland's leaked phone conversation where she and the US ambassador are deciding who can lead Ukraine.
Je vous ai traduit cette vidéo de février 2014, juste avant le coup d'État de la CIA et de Soros fin 2014. Et dans cette vidéo, elle est en train d'organiser le gouvernement qui remplacera le président élu par les leaders d'opposition qui ont créé ce coup d'État avec eux fin 2014.
So that would be great, I think, to help glue this thing and have the UN help glue it. And, the EU.
But that is exactly what reportedly happened between US Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland and US Ambassador to Ukraine Jeffrey Pyatt. The exchange has since surfaced online, including the crude swipe at the European Union. The audio clip of a woman and man, said to be Nuland and Pyatt, hears them discussing strategies to work with the three main opposition figures.
Alors elle utilise des diminutifs des noms des opposants. Dans cette vidéo, Klitsch est Vitali Klitschko, Yats est Arseny Yatsenyuk, Tianibok est donc Ole Tianibok. Regardez.
I don't think Klitsch should go into the government. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a good idea.
In terms of him not going into the government, just let him sort of stay out and do his political homework and stuff. I'm just thinking in terms of sort of the process moving ahead, we want to keep the moderate Democrats together. The problem is going to be Tianibok and his guys. And, I'm sure that's part of what Yanukovych is calculating on all of this.
I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience. He's the guy, what he needs is Klitsch and Tianibok on the outside. He needs to be talking to them 4 times a week. I just think Klitsch going in, he's going to be at that level working for Yatsenyuk. It's just not going to work.
Voilà donc comment ils organisaient tout en février 2014 avant le coup d'État. Alors, et regardez ce qu'elle faisait pendant la révolution de couleur à Kiev.
This was Nuland and Pyatt visiting Independence Square in Kiev in December, handing out food to protesters and police. This latest episode is embarrassing for the US and allows Russia to argue that the opposition is being manipulated by Washington, something that Barack Obama has always denied.
Voilà le bon et très gentil Obama, le fameux prix Nobel de la paix pour le président américain qui a créé le plus de guerres parmi tous les présidents américains de l'histoire. Et revenons sur cette Victoria Nuland, c'est elle dernièrement qui a confirmé l'existence des labos biochimiques américains en Ukraine malgré elle.
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which in fact we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
Voilà donc maintenant l'État profond stresse un max sur son agenda et ce n'est pas fini.
I mean, there's as much interference here as you could possibly imagine before you even get to Hunter Biden, Nancy Pelosi, John Kerry, and Mitt Romney, and all of their children who are employed, who earn millions from Ukrainian
You are
gas
pointing.
companies.
I wanted to bring up the fact that President Zelensky is Jewish, and I don't know exactly how this factors in, but there's some very interesting points in what you're saying.
Voilà donc l'astuce des médias pour ne pas parler de nazisme, c'est Zelensky qui est juif, donc il ne peut pas soutenir les nazis. Alors il faut savoir que Zelensky, avant d'être soudainement élu président d'Ukraine, il était un acteur. Alors regardons-le dans l'un de ses sketchs nazis.
Bonjour, oncle Igor, tante Valia et oncle Sacha. Contrairement à vos craintes, je tiens à vous informer que je vis bien tant que je suis en vie. Les choses iront encore mieux car j'ai été dans les rangs de la bande élite depuis 3 semaines déjà. Et comment faire autrement? Car c'est la seule façon de faire carrière en Ukraine. Cependant, il va sans dire que vous le savez déjà. Mon salaire est faible, mais ce n'est pas un problème puisque nous sommes autorisés à prendre l'argent et les biens des Russes. Et avant, c'était pareil pour les Juifs. Mais ensuite, le principal homme de Bandera, Kolominsky, l'a interdit. Quant à moi, j'apprends l'anglais pour oublier le russe, avec l'aide des mercenaires américains. Il y en a partout. Vous savez, je me suis marié. Il s'appelle Vidoc. C'est normal pour nous, les Européens. Aujourd'hui, notre président, le plus important, Barack Obama, a promis que nous rejoindrons bientôt l'OTAN. En tant qu'homme de main pour les Américains, bien sûr. Si vous le pouvez, envoyez-moi le livre d'Hitler, Mein Kampf. Ici, tout a été vendu. Parfois, je fais des exercices matinaux sur le balcon. J'aime ça, du cœur au soleil.
Alors tout d'abord, un grand merci à l'Elastique qui fait vraiment un travail formidable de doublage. Zelensky fait de l'humour nazi, clairement nazi, devant une très grande audience qui a vraiment l'air d'apprécier. Et dans ce sketch, il parle clairement des Américains, d'Obama et de l'OTAN. Suivant.
Looking at this, you could think it's political theatrics. You made a very good point at the beginning that you think that Putin is in control. And I actually want to play something that Jen Psaki said because it seems that the White House is actually echoing that sentiment. Watch this.
Well, the end game is really a question for President Putin. We have provided military assistance, humanitarian assistance to the Ukrainians, enabling them to fight back for far longer than the Russian leadership anticipated. And again, he has to determine what the path forward looks like for him. Thanks, everyone.
He's determining what this looks like, and I think that's a lot of what you said, Laura. I'd love to get your thoughts on that, what you just watched.
What troubles me about the moment that we're in is that we have such a selective and a narrow reading of history. President Zelensky may be Jewish, but he's not the only one in this who suffered during the Second World War, whose ancestors suffered, right? I mean, look at Putin. How many relatives did he lose in the siege of St. Petersburg? People don't know their history. They don't know what made Vladimir Putin. And I'm not I'm not defending him. I don't need to defend Vladimir Putin. My job as a journalist is to try to understand what is the truth here. I don't like being lied to. And we're being lied to on an epic scale.
Alors moi aussi, j'essaie de découvrir la vérité en me posant des questions. Il faut savoir que beaucoup de monde croit encore que lors de la Seconde Guerre mondiale, nous avons été sauvés par les Américains, ce qui semble faux. Quand on regarde vraiment l'histoire, les Russes étaient sur la route de la victoire quand les Américains ont finalement décidé de débarquer comme des héros. Les Russes, eux, ont perdu plus de 26 millions de personnes pendant ce conflit. 84% des soldats morts pendant la Seconde Guerre mondiale étaient des Russes. C'est même à se demander si parfois, éventuellement, possiblement, les Américains n'ont pas créé cette guerre de toutes pièces dans le but de détruire la puissance des pays européens allant jusqu'à la Russie. Et quand ils ont vu que les Russes gagnaient la guerre, ils sont arrivés soudainement en héros, les glorieux vainqueurs qu'on applaudit jusqu'à maintenant. Et après tout ça, l'exode des nazis fut organisé et leur recrutement par la CIA également. Alors, je dis pas que je détiens la vérité, mais ça vaut quand même le coup de se poser la question quand même. On continue.
When we're told your only choices, you have to be 100% with Zelensky, who's a puppet, who you can find on the internet in black stilettos and leather pants, with shirtless, doing a spoof Dancing with the Stars kind of entertainment video. That's a mock of a Ukrainian group that does this kind of satanic occult type of music video.
Bon alors, si vous me suivez, vous l'avez déjà vu, mais je vais le remettre pour ceux qui ne savent pas encore. Voilà, Zelensky, le président ukrainien, avant son élection.
Patientez jusqu'à la fin, merci. Patientez jusqu'à la fin, merci.
Voilà, donc ça c'est fait. Suivant.
And I mean, Zelensky was selected like so many of our leaders. And honestly, with big tech and with election fraud these days, we don't know how many leaders all around the world have been selected for us and weren't actually voted in. But what we do know is that there are increasing problems with technology and the digitization of our world. Because look at what's happening with COVID. Look at what has happened globally. We are fighting the same battles all over the world. To pretend that this war is about Russia and Ukraine is just a barefaced lie. If Putin has been warning for 15 years that he is not going to stand by while the globalists take over the world, build bioweapons facilities and whatever else they're doing in Ukraine, Ukrainian oligarchs. Ukraine has been a center of money laundering for, many of the leaders in this country. For how long? Billions of US dollars have been laundered through Ukraine, and we say nothing about it. These are our tax dollars. I mean, before the impeachment trial, had you ever heard of anyone in the United States, us bringing in foreign governments to the White House for anti-corruption training?
Et pensez à vous abonner, ça ne coûte rien.
Est-il nécessaire de le dire ? Mais surtout, il ne faut pas en rester là. Ne baissons pas les bras et réagissons.
C'est nous qui brisons les barreaux des prisons pour nos frères.